In a situation that continues to get stranger and stranger, Dark Souls Remastered on Switch has a new competitor on its release date, and it comes straight from Bandai Namco and the same franchise. We just found out via Gamescom that Dark Souls Trilogy will also be releasing on October 19th, comprising Dark Souls Remastered, Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, and Dark Souls 3 The Fire Fades Edition with all DLC.
Zach, in the video, I'm gonna add like that meme of Spider-Man like pointing at the other
Yeah, each
Spider-Man.
other.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that here. What is Bandai Namco doing? Why would you put these games out on the same day, man?
Let's clarify that this is coming to PS4 and Xbox One. We know that Dark Souls Remastered already released on other platforms. It got delayed many times and is releasing on Switch October 19th, but they have now chosen to almost, maybe sabotage is a little strong, but sully the waters of Dark Souls Remastered on Switch by releasing the Dark Souls Trilogy on other platforms day and date. Now, this is a pretty expensive package. It's an $80 MSRP, at least in retail stores. No word yet on what the digital version will cost. It does come with a steelbook if you buy it physically. But it just adds, like, I feel like it's been an RPG of its own leading up to this launch. Like, we're going through so many weird moments and decisions, and now, like, we've seen stats that upwards of 70% of Switch owners own a PS4 and Xbox One. Man, I don't like where this has gone.
Yeah, I mean, look, the price is drastically different, right? One is 50.
Double.
Yeah, one is 50% cheaper than the other,
Right.
in the Switch version. And this should go without saying, but it's really cool that you get to take Dark Souls with you on the go. That's not something
Sure.
any other platform can offer. But why not release this thing like a month later or like a couple
Right.
of weeks later? Why the exact same day? Especially given the fact that Dark Souls Remastered came out on other platforms already.
Right.
So, and like people can buy like Dark, and not only can people buy Dark Souls 2 and 3 already on other platforms, people already have it on other platforms. So it's not like this like $80 like version is, in my opinion, gonna do like super well. It's like for the hardest core that you're willing to pay $80 because of the steelbook, right? But even if you're like that hardcore, you already own the games. Like it's all
Dark Souls is almost being like Skyrim'd out here, right? Like they're releasing so many versions, and that's an issue across all platforms. And even if you pick the Dark Souls Remastered on PS4, I feel like you'd be a little weirded out that, okay, for $40 more, I get both other games. Like, so are you telling me that Dark Souls Remastered is it worth half the package? Is it worth a third of the package? Obviously, that one being remastered, there's more effort and money behind it, so maybe that does make it a bigger portion of the overall cost. But it just feels very weird for the Switch version, a game that initially was touted as one of the really good third-party day-and-date releases, that, hey, it's going to come out at the same time, it's Dark Souls Remastered, it'll be so great to take on the go. In fact, it's probably our version of choice to, okay, it's been delayed, and now coming out in the back half of the year, it's 6 months later, and also on the same day that they're releasing the trilogy.
Part of me wonders like how much it's gonna eat into the sales. Or maybe not at all. Like maybe like the audiences are like so different, and anybody that really wants Dark Souls on the go is gonna get it on Switch anyways, regardless.
Right. Like I feel like you've played Dark Souls, so I feel like the impetus and the motivation here would be to play it on the go, not necessarily just to play it again. Like if it was just to play it again, you probably played it on PS4. I mean, I'm curious like the total sales of this in general. Like Dark Souls Remastered on Switch, October 19th, what does it sell? I think it had a chance to be a really big game for the platform, but things have just become so odd. And it's just such a weird... It's one of the more fascinating stories to follow in 2018. Frankly, I can see how fans, and I feel this way, like could just kind of get sick of it at this point. We already deal with a lot of ports, and you can fall on either side of that equation. But when you're talking like getting a game that's been delayed, and then you see it coming out on other platforms in a newer, more complete version. It's just like, come on, man. Like, aren't we past this? I feel like the Switch is past this, and I think especially on the heels of like the Doom Eternal announcement, like companies can do it right, and we've seen that. And this was supposed to be that, and it just has slowly devolved into a place where I'm like, man, I'm just kind of over it. Like I know that the Dark Souls remastered version on Switch could still be good and still serves its purpose. And, hey, they delayed it for reasons, I'm sure, to make it good. It wasn't like a malicious reason. But just from like a mentality standpoint, like my heart's just not in it anymore. And I just like, I didn't want to see this today.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have to agree, right? I think that this would be so much more egregious if the Switch port was $60. It's not.
Sure.
If that was 60 and this other thing is just $20 extra and you get both extra
Yeah.
games, then okay, I got a pitchfork ready. But
Right.
yeah, in this case, since the Switch port is $40, which is what the Dark Souls Remastered went for on other platforms, same price. Yeah, I feel like the cost is still like low enough on Switch that I'm like, okay.
But it's the same cost as it was on other platforms. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like they're giving us a huge cut
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm
or
saying
any cut.
no, there's no cut. I understand that, but I'm saying the $80 price of the trilogy and the $40 price of the remaster on
Yeah.
Switch is far enough, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, like you, like this takes the wind out of like myself of the excitement for this, right? Like
Business is business, but it's just, yeah, it's like as a fan, like strictly from like a fan consumer perspective, it's like, man, like don't do that to us.
Okay, so all right. Take away the fact that you haven't played Dark Souls. Like that you have, excuse me, played Dark Souls. You played all of them. So if
And the remastered.
yeah, so if you've never played
Okay.
Dark Souls in your life, right?
Right.
And you have both a PS4 and a Switch, are you getting the
I'm absolutely getting the collection. I mean, unless it's like
the price? Remember, it's double the
yeah,
cost. You're still going collection?
I mean, maybe in a bubble if I really like playing on the go, and that's something that I'm really big on, and I spend a lot of time in handheld mode. Maybe that still wins it out, and that's why I'm not damning this completely, and that's why I still think there's value there. But it's hard to take anything in a bubble these days because there's so many external factors and there's so many things that can happen. And that's what I said. Like, I don't think it's so much that like, oh, this is such a terrible, like they didn't do anything wrong, but just from like mentality is a lot, vibe is a lot, like feeling is a lot, and I feel completely mangled that, along the way.
Yeah, I don't think I feel. I mean, you seem like not offended, but slightly like
I'm not
you're,
offended.
You're
I'm
like
just bothered.
you're perturbed by this. I don't.
I'm bothered.
Yeah, I don't feel bothered by it. But I don't think it's a good move whatsoever. I think Bandai,
Specifically because the Switch was supposed to get it at the same, like the delay alone is frustrating, right? And it's not like they're intentionally doing that. But imagine if like when Skyrim came out or Doom came out, on the same day, they also gave you like a Bethesda collection on other platforms on the same day.
I mean, I guess the most direct comparison is like, hey, Skyrim Switch is happening, but over here on other platforms, they're getting Skyrim and a Morrowind, and like you get a collection. So,
and then if there's a question of like why is this version not successful or popular, like we'll have to see. But they've kind of laid their own bet at that point.
Yeah, I mean the other thing is like, I wonder if this means that Remastered didn't sell as much, or if it sold like good enough that like, hey, this sells like really good, and let's put it out again. Because it's important to note, 2 and 3 in the trilogy are not remastered in any way. They have all the DLC that's included.
No, they don't need to be.
Yeah, like the games are like more recent, so I mean maybe 2, maybe kind of, maybe I don't know. But Dark Souls 3 definitely doesn't need to be remastered in any way. So those things are touched. It's the original games as is, so there's no extra value there. So yeah, I'm just curious what they're selling this to, because the hardcore already own the game, and I don't know they're paying $80 just to have a steelbook.
Yeah, I just feel like it's so weird because I don't foresee this trilogy hitting Switch, and therefore, what was once a really cool Switch get now kind of feels like you're getting the least cool thing.
Yeah, Zach, if they are taking this long to get the original remastered out
Yeah,
on Switch,
gosh.
they sure as heck are not going to be able to put 2 and 3 on there. That's not.
It's just been a strange week, man. Like the marketing decisions across the board of how they're announcing things, where they're coming from, when they're coming, what's going on. I don't know. We stayed up to date on Dark Souls throughout its cycle because we were very excited for it. At this point, though,
the beta,
like my enthusiasm's waned, man.
the network test is still supposed to happen, so hopefully like people experience that on Switch and they see it like, hey, this is a really cool port, and like taking this on the go is going to be really cool. And then that's where I hope that like people kind of come back. But I've seen some of people on Twitter and like Reddit like, hey, like this is like weird, and like I can get all 3 games, and you can still get like Dark Souls Remastered for other platforms like cheaper, like whether it be like buying used at GameStop or whatever.
You have to imagine that because of this release, once the Switch version hits, you can pick up Dark Souls Remastered on other platforms for less than $40.
Right? Yeah.
So again,
unless they're telling you that the 2 newer games are worth less than the 1 older game, I mean.
Well, but what I was saying about that is because it's remastered, that maybe they feel that there was so much more work into that one that it does increase the value. I don't know. it calls back to, and I don't know if you have this pulled up, Gabe. I can pull it up. The Mass Effect ordeal that went on in the Wii U era. So what occurred there was Mass Effect 3 released on Wii U at launch for full price, and the trilogy of Mass Effect games released on PS3 and Xbox 360 shortly before. And so fans felt, I guess, burned that other platforms got a much better deal. Now, there were debates on whether or not, the Wii U could handle the downloads and the space and things of that sort. There was also some post-release kerfuffle because EA and BioWare were not happy with the sales on Wii U, but it wasn't an ideal situation. And I will point out, Gabe, that a difference here is that there is an advantage that the Switch has that the others don't, which is the portability. So that does make it slightly different, but in terms of just feeling like undercut, I can definitely draw direct parallels.
Yeah, I mean, we have to ask ourselves, like, what are these companies like thinking? Like, this really isn't a problem if you release a trilogy either a month before, a month after, or even a couple months after. Like, if you're gonna sell these like same games anyways, like these games are already old. Like, you're just like packaging them again, so why not wait?
You probably want to get out before some of the other holiday titles. You definitely want to get out before Sekiro, because this Dark Souls era is, not that it's coming to an end, but it's going to be soon replaced by From Software's new thing in the form of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, launching in March. It feels like they're just trying to milk Dark Souls for what they can while they can. It just, maybe it's not, maybe it is. It feels like it's undercutting the Switch version, which already feels undercut given the elongated delay. What do you think, though? Are you guys bummed? Are you still going to pick up Dark Souls Remastered? Are you still excited for Dark Souls Remastered? Has it been too long? Are you no longer even hyped for that? Does it bug you that a trilogy is coming on other platforms, or do you not care because the portability and the freedom that the Switch provides is the reason you would purchase this in the first place? Definitely love to know in the comments down below. I feel like the excitement's been zapped.
At least a bit. Yeah, I mean, that's probably putting
A
it
lot.
lightly. Yeah, probably putting it lightly to say at least a bit. But yeah, for sure.
So let us know your take in the comments down below. We'll keep you posted when the game does hit in a few months. And, all we can hope is that it's a fantastic port and that it does deliver awesome Dark Souls action for those that still want it. Till then, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Fantastic day. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from the Switch and its games. Gamescom is still rolling, so we'll keep you posted on further updates. In the meantime, everyone have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching. For myself and Gabe, Switch Force, out.